Welcome to the Deep Dive. This week we're focusing on the materials you sent over about the horrific terror attack at the Manchester Synagogue. Happened on Thursday, October 2nd.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough material to go through. Our aim today really is to try and cut through the immediate, shock and grief and focus on the key facts, the context, and what the sources tell us about the implications.
Absolutely. And we need to start straight away with two sort of foundational facts that just completely reshape how you might initially see this event. They're crucial.
They really are. The first one is just startling. The attacker, Jihad al Shamie, who used a knife. Well, he was actually out on police bail at the time.
On bail. For what, exactly?
For an alleged rape, which, that fact alone raises enormous questions.
It really does. A massive oversight, potentially. Okay, and the second fact, this one relates to the police response itself, right?
That's right. And this is just deeply tragic. One of the victims, Adrian Daulby, was actually killed by a police bullet. It seems officers were firing at the attacker, who only had a knife, remember?
So the attacker had no gun.
No gun. The police confirmed Mr. Daulby's death was, and this is their wording, a tragic and unforeseen consequence of the urgently required action.
Oh, that's awful.
Okay.
A double tragedy, then. So this whole deep dive has to be seen through the lens of these two, catastrophic failures, potentially. A justice system issue and an operational police issue.
Precisely. Okay, so let's maybe spend some time on the victims themselves and the heroism, because there was incredible bravery shown. We know the two men killed were Adrian Daulby, who was 53, and Melvin Kravitz, 66, both from Crumpsall.
And Adrian Daulby, he's being called a hero. By his family, by Rabbi Daniel Walker. What did he do? Well,
the sources are clear. He was inside the synagogue foyer. When the attacker tried to get in, Mr. Daulby held the door shut, physically barred the way.
He held the doors against a knifeman.
Yes, to stop him getting into the main sanctuary where others were praying. His actions undoubtedly saved lives. An act of pure self-sacrifice.
Incredible bravery. But then we have to come back to that awful finding from Greater Manchester Police, that he was killed by one of their bullets.
Yeah, it's just unimaginable. They were trying to neutralize the threat, taking urgent action, and in that chaos, the very person saving lives becomes an unintended victim of that response.
The burden that places on everyone involved, the officers, the family, the community, it's immense.
It is. And we also need to remember Melvin Kravitz, the second victim, 66 years old. He was attacked just as he was entering the synagogue for morning services.
And this was on Yom Kippur, wasn't it?
It was the holiest day of the Jewish year, a solemn day of fasting and prayer. Often synagogues are much fuller than usual, so Mr. Kravitz was there for that very significant service.
His cousin Phil Bentley said he would never harm a fly. And apparently him being there quite so early was even a bit unusual for him. Just highlights the sheer randomness of it all.
It does. And the sources also give us a sense of the chaos inside or just outside. Sir Grant Shapps, the former defense secretary, his father-in-law, was there.
Really? What happened?
Michael Goldstone, he's 79, a retired taxi driver. He was also at the front doors, trying to hold them shut. Came face to face with the terrorist, according to the account. Likely right around the same time as Mr. Daulby.
Just terrifying. These details really bring it home. But the question looming over all of this is, how did this attacker, with this background, manage to carry this out?
Which takes us right back to that bail issue, doesn't it?
Exactly. Part 2. The attacker's history and the oversight questions. We know Jihad al Shamie was on police bail for alleged rape. That just screams potential failure in threat assessment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The fact that someone accused of such a serious, violent crime was free, it raises huge questions about bail conditions, monitoring. Was the risk properly understood? We just don't know yet, but it needs investigating.
And it gets even more complex. There are suggestions, maybe, of earlier warnings, going back quite a way.
That's right. Our sources point to a possible link to threats made way back in 2012, 12 years ago.
Who were the threats against?
Against a former conservative MP, John Howell. He was known for supporting Israeli military actions. Howell said he received about 30 worrying emails back then.
And one of them was particularly chilling.
Yes. Apparently, the sender, using the name Jihad al Shamie, told the MP, "It is people like you who deserve to die." Which, seems quite direct. Linking the name to violent intent.
Okay, but this is where it gets murky, right? What's the official police line on this?
It's confusing. Howell told Sky News he deleted the emails, couldn't be 100% sure it was the same person. But then Thames Valley Police, the force covering Howell's area back then.
Yeah, what did they say?
Chief Superintendent Emma Bailey stated quite clearly that the force has no record of ever receiving any reports relating to an individual named Jihad al Shamie,
Yeah.
and no intelligence linking him to any investigation.
Wait, so the MP remembers getting these specific threatening emails with that name? But the police force involved has zero record of it.
That's the situation presented in the sources. It points to a major disconnect. Either the MP's memory is faulty after all this time, or, more worryingly, there was a failure in logging that report, or sharing intelligence across forces over the years.
That's a serious gap. Either way, it doesn't look good. You've got the bail issue now and potentially missed signals from years ago.
And the terrible result is 2 men dead and 3 other people injured in the attack, currently in hospital.
The weight of all this, the tragedy, the attacker's background, the police questions, it instantly became a huge political issue, didn't it? Especially with the timing, right before the October 7th anniversary.
Exactly. The timing couldn't be more sensitive. Domestically, the government went straight into, well, damage control mode, focusing on community cohesion and security. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, even wrote an article for the Jewish News.
That's quite a direct move. What was his message?
He was appealing directly to those planning pro-Palestine protests that weekend, asking them to recognize and respect the grief of British Jews. He drew a line saying, while protest is a right, a minority use these events to push anti-Semitism, trying to navigate that really difficult line.
You could feel that tension immediately. The deputy PM, David Lammy, he was heckled at a vigil, wasn't he?
He was, but he made a point of saying he heard the pain, anger, and grief. And crucially, he confirmed the immediate practical step. The government is surging security at synagogues.
Right, visible action. But the international reaction was also pretty intense, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Immediate contact between the Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar and the UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper. And Saar's language was, well, very strong.
How so? What did he say?
He called the attack a decisive moment in the UK's own history. He wasn't just offering condolences, he was essentially demanding the UK take a harder line. He argued the UK must fight pro-Palestinian protests, claiming they have anti-Semitic traits.
So he directly linked the attack to the climate created by those protests.
Explicitly. And he also took the opportunity to criticize Labour Party conference delegates who had recently backed a motion calling Israel's actions in Gaza genocide.
Bringing domestic UK politics into it. How did Cooper respond to that?
Well, the sources say Yvette Cooper was very clear that the Labour Party motion does not reflect UK government policy. But yeah, you see how this local tragedy immediately gets drawn into that wider, incredibly charged international debate.
And finally, the impact on the ground for the Jewish community itself, especially younger people, students.
Yes, Louis Denker, who's president of the Union of Jewish Students, he spoke very powerfully about this. He's in talks with the government now about significantly boosting security for Jewish students on campus. He mentioned the huge challenges they faced since October 7th last year.
There was a quote from him that really stood out for me.
Which one was that?
He said it's not normal for Jewish school children and Jewish students to need security at their events.
That really hits home, doesn't it? It grounds all the high-level politics and international statements in the day-to-day reality. The idea that security guards at student events, that this is becoming necessary. It shows the real-world fear.
So when we try to pull all these threads together for you, the listener, what do we have? We have this awful tragedy, colored by incredible heroism.
The heroism of Adrian Daulby, yes, but then immediately complicated by the tragic, unforeseen consequence of the police response.
And beneath that, these systemic issues bubbling up. The bail system questions, the potential intelligence failures around those historical threats.
Leading to this moment being framed both domestically and internationally, as you said, as a decisive moment. A test case almost for the UK's handling of anti-Semitism and community safety.
The government's immediate talk of surging security. SAR's strong words. It all points to this being seen as much more than just an isolated crime.
Which leads us, I suppose, to the final thought we wanted to leave you with. It builds directly on what Louis Denker said about security not being normal.
Right, so when an event like this happens, and the immediate understandable reaction is to massively ramp up security, more guards, tougher checks, reinforced doors at community centers, synagogue, schools, When does that stop being a temporary response?
Yeah, when does that heightened state of alert, that visible security presence, transition from being an emergency measure into just the new accepted permanent reality for a community?
That's the unsettling question, isn't it? The potential for fear and the measures taken against it to become just embedded in everyday life.
A heavy question hanging over Manchester and indeed the wider UK community right now.